Hello Libra friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Libra December 2022 mini-scopes, a more abbreviated version of my usual monthly horoscopes due to Hurricane Ian taking our internet at the time of me trying to upload these. So, this is for you if Libra is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other placements of Libra that you have. What we're going to talk about here will be part of your astrological picture. If you're a very late degree Libra, so we'll say October 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23 degrees or so through the rest of the sign, I suggest you additionally listen to my Scorpio report. You very late degree friends will benefit from both the Libra and Scorpio reports. If you don't want to watch the visuals that I have this month, you can always listen to the syndicated podcast, the audio version only of these reports on Spotify or all kinds of other venues, or you can just search for Astro Kisses with Annie Botticelli and you'll find the home site to listen. And if you are listening to the podcast and you want to see the visuals, which do tend to be different each month, you never know what's going to be on there, you can find this on YouTube. So, the theme of this month I'm calling Sudden Fortune, and I don't just mean financial, so we'll go into the details of why I'm calling it that. And we've got all kinds of things to talk about. So we'll talk about things related to the general astrology that is relevant for Libras and drill down into specific things for you. First big thing to know is that we are out of the main heat of eclipse season. Those Taurus Scorpio eclipses that were rocking us in October and November are starting to cool down a bit. And while we may have some news and kind of follow-up information and events occurring in December, for the most part, the big stuff is, mostly happened. And we are integrating, okay? So there's a chance that there's some follow-up things coming, but the greatest heat of the eclipse season is starting to settle down. The theme of November for Libra was involving crazy money, and that is still a continuation into this time. It's not always easy to neatly configure the energetics that are at play into an exact month. So a lot of times the things going on in one month will have their origin or extension into other periods of time, and that is what's happening here. So we do have a lot of money aspects showing up, and sudden money, sudden things coming out of the blue with beautiful aspects with Uranus, which is in your house of other people's money, also conjunct the transiting North Node, leading to some very fated financial experiences. So all of that is still very much activated at this time. And there are other ways in your chart that financial things can come up. But I want to talk about the general energy of fortune. And fortune meaning luck or things going your way or, pieces of information or events that could really benefit you. So let's just take it layer by layer. The first thing to know about this is that the planets are moving through Sagittarius at this time. So the Sun, Venus, star goddess Hygeia, Mercury are all moving through this planet of optimism, of creative resources, of solutions, of expanded horizons that can often cause you to see something differently than you did before that could make all the difference. And it is definitely true that sometimes we have things available to us that were there all along that we just needed to change how we were looking at something. And that is true for this time. So you might see something differently that has been right in front of you this whole time that could cause some activation of fortune or luck. Also, when all of these planets move through Sagittarius, they make a beautiful angle for Libra placement. So this is, again, just a general auspicious time in the stars for Libra placements, as this fire creates all of this beautiful air and really moves in a complementary way to your sign. So be full of social opportunities, chance for short and long-term travel, anything activating your imagination, activating your education, researching, sharing information. It's really a very enlivening and very inspiring time for Libras and in the general cosmos as well. We do also continue to have Saturn moving through fellow air signs. So long-term processes having to do with your romantic relationships and patterns in those relationships, your children or your creative babies, your hidden talents coming alive. All of that is in a long-term cycle of being accentuated that could bring you great blessings. And we additionally have the energy of grand trine for Libra, especially if you're close to around 18, 19 degrees, as Mars and Saturn come together in the sky in a beautiful configuration. Everyone in the cosmos can be blessed. Libras especially, because you're an air sign, but those of you that are near like that 18 degree point, so we'll say 13 through 23 degrees, the closer to 18 degrees, the more of this grand trine effect you'll get for your personal Libra placement. So that's really like October 3rd through 13th, and the closer to like the 8th or 9th, around there, the more you'll get those grand trine direct effects. But again, if you're not in those dates or degrees, don't worry, you're not being left out of anything. This energy is amazing, and it has to do with activation of that Sagittarius house. Okay, so I already let you know that the planets are moving through the sign of Sagittarius for everybody, but for Libra specifically, the house of Sagittarius is also being aspected. And this is happening in a long-term way from the Mars retrograde, which really got, started being in Gemini and moving, through this fellow air sign, August-ish of 2022, and we'll be going into, well past the spring of 2023 or fall for you all down under. Okay, so this is a long-term trine activating your imagination, activating your education, activating your sense of adventure, your call to adventure, and you answering that call. It's also really drastically expanding your horizon. So you're having that from everywhere. Now, this energy of fortune coming in is very profound because it could really just come from anywhere. And it's both of the sectors, the Uranus energy, which is like out of the blue, is activated for you, but then also Saturn, the long-term gains. So like sudden unexpected things can come in, but then also the long-term things that you've actually been working on and chipping away at and making strides towards. Those are also activated at this time. This can really help you to have a more positive outlook, a more positive attitude, and can really heal stinking thinking and really help you to unwind that cycle of overthinking and spiraling things out, in those in mental realms. Air energy can really get caught up in the mental space. And while we do have a lot of activation here, the Sagittarius energies are really helping you to move actually more towards the fulfillment of those mental ideas and ideals. Now, on the topic of taking action, this is sort of a mixed month. Okay, so let's look at the 3 levels of retrograde story that we have here. Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, that's bringing all of this energy of fortune into your chart, just went direct on November 23rd. So here we are in December, just a week into that major shift. And as I've been talking about for a while, when Jupiter gets back in Aries, as it will this month, and it's moving direct, which is getting stronger now, this is really bringing force, power, fortune, expansion to your relationship space. It's an additive effect. If you're looking for your perfect person, you may find them at this time. If you've met that perfect person, maybe you'll get engaged. If you're already engaged, maybe you'll get married. If you're already married, maybe you'll have kids, or you'll go into business together, or some other sort of deepening. So this energy of expanding relationships. This also works for clients. Let's say you're trying to build a client base. All of this is happening, and it's super active at this time, bringing in the right person at the right time. And you've got this very strong storyline from now all through May of 2023. So, a very extended push of this type of expansion. Now, you might get a little bit overstimulated and have your me-we sector, as I like to call it, you versus other people, kind of overstimulated. And sometimes this can cause some conflicts because Jupiter sometimes will make things a little messier before it makes things cleaner and more coherent. So if something is a little bit under the surface, it might bring it out and make things a little more messy, but it really helps to get it out and clean it up. So all of that is happening. Now, while Jupiter is raging forward, Mars is still going backwards, which is pointing towards this energy of opportunities from the past, projects for writing, speaking, learning from the past. You may find that you've been returning to something that you loved before. You may, have wanted to study something or research something or have certain experiences, and either you've done something on these topics before and you're returning to it, or you're returning to the idea of it because it's something you've always wanted to do. And you might actually fulfill that at this time. So that's really strongly activated. Mars is piecemealing that information, learning a language, you becoming a teacher or teaching people about things that you know about, you taking classes, you being involved with your church or spiritual organization. All of these kinds of things are very well activated at this time. But since Mars is retrograde, it's kind of like you're being the earthworm, where you're going back over the soil to make it rich and fertile for present and future growth. So then we've got the Mercury story, okay? And we'll get into that. But the point is, as certain things are going backwards, other things are going direct, the best advice that I can give you that is a continuation of what I've been talking about for the past couple of months is certain things are going to be cooling off. If you try to force those things, you might not be happy, okay? You can get the keynote of Mars retrograde, which is frustration. But if you just kind of notice, wow, okay, that's cooling off. Maybe I'm not supposed to be focusing on that right now. And you just let it table it if it's possible, if it's one of those things that can be tabled. And then other things are going to heat up or need your attention. And if you just direct your energy to the squeakiest wheel and the things that are like really moving forward effortlessly, then you're going to have a very easy, fun time of these energies, and it's just a simple awareness and switch. If you find yourself barking up the wrong tree or trying to force something, this is not a time to force something that doesn't want to be forced. It could actually even be downright dangerous to try to force things at this time. So you definitely just want to let sleeping dogs lie and follow your flow. It will be very obvious what you're supposed to do in a lot of ways because it will just be easy. All right, so now let's add in the Mercury retrograde component. From the beginning of the month through the 12th is the time when Mercury is still direct. So you can kind of liken this to flowing on a highway at a good speed. You're flowing, Mercury's going direct, is all good. Then December 12th, it starts the shadow period. So December 12th through around the 28th, this is when you're slowing down to make a U-turn, okay? So that awkwardness that you have when things are slowing down and you got to get into that lane and you got to go slower and, dodge traffic to try to slow down. That's the energy that's happening between the 12th and the 28th. Things are slowing down. It's uncomfortable. It's awkward. There's confusion. There's incoherence. There's schedule changes. There are mishaps, and that's what's happening. And then from the 29th of December through January 19th, we have the actual retrograde. And I liken that to being stalled out in the median, waiting for your chance to go turn the other way, where the traffic is just coming at you and you're just kind of sitting there. So you've got this retrograde time where you're just kind of sitting there and you're dealing with whatever comes. And then once it goes direct January 19th, then you've got from the 19th until February 6th where you're waiting for your chance to get back into the traffic. Then you're getting up to speed to get going on your cruising, speed again. And that awkwardness ends February 6th, which is starting to open us into this really great, awesome, free, liberally open launch period that we have. So, you can do a lot of experimenting this month, trying things that have high upside but low downside, doing editing, fixing, all of those kind of things. And just basically overall dealing with just what comes up. Our scope for things gets a little bit closer to us in the retrograde time where you might have to just deal with what's in front of you and you might not be able to see very far ahead to plan. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of dates to note. If you want a written version of my top favorite dates of the month and what to expect from them and the top careful and awareful aspects of the month, as well as my detailed astrology write-up and other links to resources that I create for you for the upcoming and current transits, go to anniehelpsyou.com. Sign up for my free email newsletter. Being part of that list will get you all of the goodies and you'll be chock full of info to make the most of the astrological transits. But I'll give you a couple of the dates and information here. December 7th, we've got a full moon at 16 degrees of Gemini. We already talked at length about how this is great for Libra. So all of you will get kisses from this full moon, completion, fruition, things coming to a head, things being elucidated, clarity coming, and you'll get a special kiss the closer to 16 degrees. So we'll say 11 degrees to 21 degrees. Is our range, and the closer to 16 degrees, the more you get a kiss. So that's basically like October 1st through 11th or so, and the days around the 6th or so of October are, the biggest kiss from this full moon. Then you've got the new moon seed planting in the days around the 23rd. This is new moon in Capricorn, so really tangible, strategic, material types of seed planting. And then in those days around the 29th, just remember that Mercury gets more chaotic, or things get more chaotic in the days before and after it actually goes retrograde, okay? And even when it goes direct, there's that chaos. Other great advice for this month is try to leave yourself as unscheduled as possible. Write things in pencil rather than pen, And the big thing to watch out for with 3 squares to Jupiter this month is don't overcommit or overdo, okay? There's going to be a tendency to overdo fun, to overdo work, to overdo commitments, to be overzealous in our pursuits. And if you find it's going that way, just remember that overdoing this month could accidentally commit you into longer term things that you don't want to be bound by. So just be careful with that this month, and you should be fine. So that's the biggest thing to watch out for. If you want more information about this month, also you can go to AnnieHelpsYou.com. I already sent you there to sign up for the newsletter, but you'll also find all of my free resources there. So you can find more there. And if you're into astrology education and you want to see those options, including my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course, you can go to AnnieBAstrology.com. Annie, the letter B, astrology.com. You can also see all these links in the notes beneath the podcast or video. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.